NASCAR drivers take a big risk every week by strapping into their cars. Every driver is going to wreck at some point. But today, we're going to look at some drivers who were very lucky to walk away. So there are some big wrecks like Austin Dillon's crash at Daytona in 2015, or Ryan Newman's at Daytona in 2020.
The outside, wow! Crash into the wall, into the air, goes Newman!
Which are very popular examples. Of course, they were very lucky to walk away, but I want to cover a few other crashes that are not as well documented or have more to the story than just a horrific looking crash.
Trying to make up a lap. There's Stan Smith's car demolished, and there's some flame coming out of the Alabama driver's car. Take a look at what happened here that's brought out the second caution of the day.
On lap 70 during the 18th round of the 1993 season at Talladega, Jimmy Horton flipped out of the track. Miraculously, he walked away virtually unscathed with a very damaged car. Even though Horton's crash looked much more spectacular and concerning initially, all eyes then went to the number 49 of Stanley Smith. His car hit the wall at a horrible angle, going almost maximum speed. Smith suffered a basal skull fracture, a torn carotid artery, and severed nerves. As a lasting effect of the nerve damage, the left side of his head was numb for the rest of his life. Stanley Smith never raced in the Cup Series after this accident, but raced up until 2018 before he retired. Smith passed away in late 2020 at the age of 71. With not even 20 laps completed in the 2022 Chevy Silverado 250, Jordan Anderson's truck caught on fire. While his truck was headed towards the inside wall, Jordan climbed out of the fiery truck.
Oh man, can that thing stop?
And that's a big hit.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
That was, he didn't know where he was.
Yes.
He couldn't see
Couldn't
he was, and he knew he had to get out.
This angle just goes to show how bad this could have gone. Anderson said he was experiencing the worst pain in his life despite breaking several bones and getting his teeth knocked out in other accidents. As a result of the crash, he suffered third-degree burns on his neck and arm, with second-degree burns on other parts of his body, and a concussion. Anderson stated that something got into the oil line off the pump on the front of the motor and cut a hole in it. It basically drained the entire contents of the oil tank to the headers. That's why the fire was so big, so hot, and lasted for so long. For this next one, let's take it back to Bristol Motor Speedway in August of 2002. Harmon was practicing his number 44 car when he crashed into the track's infield entry gate in turn 2. Harmon's car impacted the end of the concrete wall head on. The impact was so violent that the car was completely torn apart. The remnants of the vehicle were then struck by the car of Johnny Sauter, and if Johnny Sauter's car hit 3 more feet to the right, it could have been much worse. Harmon was able to extract himself before any crew members or safety workers got to his car. This scene of all the pit crews running to his car is really spine-chilling and reminiscent of the aftermath of Austin Dillon's crash at Daytona in 2015. Another terrifying crash took place in the Truck Series' first race at Daytona when Jeff Bodine had this wreck on lap 57.
Slow that truck down. Jeff's staying up high going in the corner. He's not following the truck in front of him. Don't know what's going on there.
Whoa! Oh, look out! We got trouble. This is going to hurt.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
An initial report after the crash stated, Jerry Punch reported from the hospital that Bodine is alert and neurologically sound. He suffered a concussion, facial laceration, multiple bruises, a right wrist fracture, and a small fracture to a vertebrae, and is in the intensive care unit in serious but stable condition. Within the matter of days, Bodine was released from the hospital. Along with Bodine, 5 spectators were injured, but they only suffered minor cuts and bruises. In a very similar wreck to Mike Harmon's in 2002, Michael Waltrip's car also struck the gate opening along the outside wall at Bristol. This was in a Busch Series race just 12 years before Harmon's. Waltrip initially had no idea how bad the wreck was until safety workers told him to look at his feet. They were literally sitting on the track surface. Waltrip was able to walk away just minutes later. Just to show how scary this incident was at the time, listen to this interview from his brother Daryl.
Just praise God, Ben, he's alive. I was standing looking right at it, and I couldn't move. I mean, I just froze. I never seen anything like that in my life. The car just disintegrated, and I knew he was in it. And I thought he was hurt.
In 2003, during a practice session at Richmond International Raceway for the Pontiac Excitement 400, Jerry Naidoo was leading the practice session when he spun in turn 1 and hit the wall. After he hit the wall driver's side first, Naidoo responded to his crew, then immediately fell unconscious. Naidoo was then cut out of his car, then airlifted to a local hospital in critical condition, and he was only given a 6% chance of surviving. Naidoo suffered complete immobility of the left side of his body, a skull fracture, concussion, a collapsed lung, and several broken ribs. The injuries required him to use a medical ventilator to breathe and ended his NASCAR career. For this last clip, we have to go back to 1965 when AJ Foyt had this nasty wreck at Riverside. When crew members and safety officials got to the car, Foyt was not breathing and his skin was blue. He was pronounced dead at the scene by a track doctor. However, fellow driver Parnelli Jones noticed some slight movement by Foyt and scooped mud out of his mouth. After the mud was scooped out of his mouth, Foyt was able to breathe again and he went on to make a full recovery. Just 4 months later, Foyt qualified on the pole for the Indy 500, then the next month would win the NASCAR Firecracker 400 at Daytona. Anyways guys, that's it for this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you know other drivers that escaped death that you'd like me to cover in a future video, just let me know down in the comments below. Anyways guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.